ý nghĩa này. Xin cảm ơn. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, veterans and friends, at this point of our ceremony, it is my honor to invite Ms. V. Nguyen, the Vice President of the Internal Affairs, to the stage to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Please join me in welcoming Ms. V. Nguyen.
We would like to respect present and emerging. Trước hết, chúng ta xin tri ân vua lọt tổ dân Guangri và Bunong, những người đầu tiên của đất nước này. Chúng tôi cũng xin tri ân những người chức trưởng tộc đã mất và còn hiện diện.
Thank you, Ms. V. Nguyen. And now we would like to invite you all to stand for the Australian and Vietnamese Republic National Anthem. Xin quý vị hướng về cờ của nước Úc và Việt Nam Cộng Hòa.
Thank you.
Let us observe a minute of silence to honor and remember the merits and sacrifice of our forebears and national heroes who gave their lives to the country. This moment of silence is also dedicated to the soldiers and civil servants of the Republic of Vietnam Allied Forces who sacrificed their lives to defend freedom and democracy, as well as to the hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese people who perished on the journey in search for liberty by land and by sea. Thank you. A minute of silence is finished. The minute of silence is finished. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now honored to present a special musical performance. Ca đoàn Thánh Yêu Nhã will perform the song Việt Nam, Việt Nam, beautifully written by the renowned composer Phạm Duy. Please join me in welcoming ca đoàn Thánh Yêu Nhã. Thank you very much. What a wonderful performance from ca đoàn Thánh Y Nhã. The Vietnamese community in Australia, Victoria chapter, would like to acknowledge the following distinguished guests who have made the time and effort to attend this meaningful ceremony. Dr. Daniel Molino, Member of Parliament, Federal Member for Fraser, Chair of Standing Committee of Economics, Senator Paul Scar, Shadow Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs, Senator for Queensland. The Honourable Jen Hu, Senator for Victoria. The Honourable Natalie Solomon, Member of Parliament, State Member for St Albans, Minister for Veterans, Minister for Youth, Minister for Small Business and Employment. Ms. Sarah Connolly, Member of Parliament, State Member for Laverton. Mr. Chulu, Member of Parliament, Member for Western Metropolitan Region, Secretary of the Parliamentary Liberal Party, Shadow Assistant Minister for Police, Corrections and Crime Prevention. Mr. Luke Anthony Donnell, former Member of Victorian Parliament. Ms. Thuy Dan, the first Vietnamese refugee mayor of Brimbank City Council. Councillor Victoria Borg, Deputy Mayor of City of Brimbank. Councillor Kim Tuen Trung, Councillor City of Brimbank. Councillor Stephen Jolly, Mayor of Yarra City Council. Councillor Sarah Mackenzie, Deputy Mayor of Yarra City Council. Councillor Mecca Hall, Councillor City of Yarra. Councillor Cookland, Councillor of Maribyrnong City Council. Mr. Robin Hunt, Member of Victoria Veteran Council. Lieutenant Colonel Retired Bird Kobe, campaign leader for award for the Republic of Vietnam, and campaign medal for Australian servicemen and women who served in Vietnam for less than 181 days. Mr. Rob Gazadra, Vice President of East Malvern RSL. Mr. Dan Văn Đạt, President of the Republic of Vietnam Veterans Association. Ông bà Trần Ngọc Thọ, former President of the Vietnamese Community Australia Victoria Chapter. We are very sorry that because of the rain and we're running out of time, so there's still a list of distinguished guests that we will try to slide into our program later. So thank you so much for your coming today. Now, we are honored to welcome to the stage Mr. Yu Quang Nguyen, President of the Vietnamese community in Australia, Victoria chapter. Please join me in warmly welcoming Miss and Tri Quan Nguyen.
Thank you. I just make a very short note. Just say thank you to all of you. Today is raining, and we could not expect that, you could not stay there, you come here and celebrate with us 70 years of the Republic of South Vietnam. And I would like to say thank you to Minister Natalie Solomon, to the Department of Veteran and the Victorian Veteran Council, who support us to organize this ceremony. It means a lot for us because you see, for 20 years, the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force who protect our freedom and democracy, our country freedom and democracy. And again, thank you very much. I take the honor to invite Mr. Van Dap, President of the Freedom Association Vietnamese. Yes, please.
Mr. Nguyễn Quang Duy, President of Vietnamese Community in Victoria. The Hon. Natalie Suleiman, Minister of Veteran in Victoria. Dr. Daniel Molino, Minister for Financial Service. Mr. Sarah Connolly, State Member for Laverton. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Vietnamese Veteran Association in Victoria, I would like to welcome you to this very special occasion. And now, I would like to welcome all of you to take to this opportunity to have a few words about the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force and our fighting against the invasion of the Vietnamese community from the north. 7 years ago, 1975, on this day, October 26, the Republic of Vietnam was born. Mr. Ngô Đình Diệm was elected the first president of the Republic. In the same day, the military force of Vietnam was officially named the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force. In the following year, under the protection of the armed force, the South Vietnam government and its people have achieved great success in development in the country. However, this period of the stability did not last long. In 1961, the Northern Communists began to infiltrate the South. They brought terror, killing civilians, causing the people to extremely resentful. The Republic of Vietnam Armed Force had to take the responsibility of the fighting to the communists who had gradually infiltrated the South to increasing number, with many types of the modern weapons from Russia and China. The fighting of the armed force became increasingly difficult. However, thanks to the national cold and ardent patriotism, the armed force fought bravely, causing the communist North to suffer many heavy defeats. In 1967, after nearly 4 years of the political turmoil, the second Republic of South Vietnam had been established. From that day to April 1975, the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force had bravely repelled many bloody attacks by the North Vietnamese communists, who always want to occupy the entire South Vietnam. Secondly, due to political arrangement between the superpower, the heroic fighting of the Republic of Vietnam Armed Force had ended in April 1975. South Vietnam fell into North Vietnam communist. After that day, hundreds of thousands Republic of Vietnam Armed Force ex-soldiers were sent to hard labor camp, which the communist regime they call re-education camp. Thousands had never returned home. Those who survived after being released from the camp, one after another, tried to escape the communist dictatorship. Some success, some failed. Those who reached the shore of freedom become refugees and settled in free democratic countries, one of which in Australia. On this land of freedom and humanity, we established the Vietnamese Veteran Association and worked side by side with fellow refugees to rebuild our life. We are getting better and better in a multicultural nation in which the Vietnamese refugees have contributed a significant part. We would like to thank the Australian government and its people who have opened their arms to welcome us, the communist refugees from Vietnam, to this lucky country. Last but not least, today, once again, we would like to commemorate 521 Australian brothers who have sacrificed their lives in fighting for freedom in South Vietnam. May their soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dakmuda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to welcome to the stage the Honorable Natalie Solomon, Member of Parliament, State Member for St. Albans, Minister for Veterans, Minister for Youth, and Minister for Small Business and Employment.
Thank you very much, and you're doing a fantastic job on this day, as they say, of prosperity. Rain brings prosperity and good luck, so we're getting very much good fortune here today. But thank you again to VCA, and before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we are meeting here today and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. I think we've done the acknowledgements, but I do want to acknowledge all the federals and of course my state parliamentarians, local councillors that have come not only from Brisbane but quite wide to be here today. And in particular, I do want to also take this opportunity to acknowledge the veterans that are here and thank you for your service and sacrifice. In doing so, I'd like to acknowledge Robin Hunt, the member for the Victorian Veterans Council. It's wonderful to see you here, Rob, and I do want to pay tribute to the work that the Veterans Council does, and also all the local RSLs that are here, serving personnel, ADF, and of course retired veterans that are here as well. It's fantastic to see our Vietnamese veterans as well, and many local representatives, community leaders from across Melbourne here at Sunshine North. And I do want to thank the President of VCA. Thank you very much. And thank you for those words. And also to the President of the Vietnam Veterans. It's an absolute pleasure for me to join you, regardless of sunshine, hail or rain. It is wonderful to be here to thank our Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces, and in particular all our veterans for the service and sacrifice that they have made. As the Minister for Veterans here in Victoria, I'm very proud to have supported this event and through our department funded today's proceedings. I do want to also again acknowledge our servicemen and women, that they do receive the appropriate support and assistance, and more importantly, acknowledgement for their sacrifices. As time passes on, it's easy for us to lose sight of the incredible sacrifices people make in war, but also our peacekeepers as well. The world changes and details of events can often be forgotten, and that's why today is so much important. It's important for our local community, it's important for Victorians to continue to have these events, and also the exhibition that has been launched here today. We are a part of a tradition of ongoing remembrance and acknowledgements, and through the presentation of the memorial anniversary plaques to our Vietnam soldiers and their war widows, I'm really proud, and it's a special moment for me as Minister for Veterans. These plaques recognise a part of a story of the Vietnam War that needs to be understood and remembered, and in what has been a complex and evolving conflict. It's so fantastic to see the Vietnamese community in Australia. The Victorian chapter is hosting this exhibition, but not just here today, but I know that many community organisations from the Vietnam community continue to display and tell their story, a story that we are absolutely proud of in Victoria. And marking this year the 50th anniversary of settlement, I think it's wonderful to see and tell the stories and share the stories, not only of the contribution of the Vietnamese community across Victoria and across our nation. In every level of the tapestry, we can see the Vietnamese community contributing, giving back to the community, whether that's through their generous donation appeals for our local hospitals, from Joan Kerner Women and Children's Hospital to now Footscray Hospital. The Vietnamese community continue to really be the heart and soul of our community. And we have these sorts of events that shape richly the multicultural Victoria that we value here and today. So I do want to again thank you for bearing the weather, the rain, but this is nothing compared to the sacrifice and service of our veterans. And we owe a lot to our veterans and their families. And I want you to, leading up to Remembrance Day as well, the Poppy Appeal next week, please give generously. Let's keep remembering and acknowledging the service of our ADF personnel at the moment, and of course our veterans. Thank you very much for having me here today. Congratulations, and thank you again.
Thank you very much for being here with us today, Honorable Natalie Suleiman. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that we welcome to the stage Dr. Daniel Molino, Member of Parliament Federal Member for Fraser, Minister for Financial Services, and Assistant Treasurer.
Thank you very much. Can I also begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay respects to elders past and present. Can I just say this is a very moving and emotional day. It's remarkable to see all of you in front of me, so many important community members and leaders from across our community. Amazing to see so many veterans here today. And I just wanted to say firstly that as local member, this means a lot because I know many of the veterans here well after having met with you on so many occasions over the years. In fact, just here we have a commemoration of the war from my own electorate and Sarah Connolly's electorate in Sunshine. I feel very much that there is a deep connection between what we're commemorating today and my own electorate, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. I won't run through all of the people who are here, but I do want to acknowledge Dwayne Nguyen and the VCA for putting on today's event. It's a very important event that we're commemorating today, and I know that these events take a lot of organisation. To the President of the Vietnamese Veterans Association, Dang, thank you so much for your words. They were very meaningful words, and again, I've seen you on so many occasions in my electorate representing the interests of veterans. It was very powerful to hear your words and your recollections of what led up to 1975 and what has happened since. And of course, can I acknowledge all of the veterans. It's very meaningful to have you all here today. Thank you for making that effort, and of course also to any other veterans from Australia, representatives of Australian Veterans Associations and the RSL. I want to acknowledge all of those who have served. There are so many leaders from the Vietnamese community. I can't acknowledge all of you, but I do want to say I see you all there. And finally, to all of the community leaders and politicians who are here, the fact that there are so many representatives from federal, state and local means so much in terms of acknowledging the importance of this community at this particular event. I also just wanted to acknowledge that we have Thuy and Cook and Kim and Trung here, and I do want to acknowledge that we have 4 people from the Vietnamese community who have risen to leadership roles, and that to me is a reflection of how important the community is to Victoria, to Melbourne's West in particular, and I do want to acknowledge the 4 of you and all that you do. I just wanted to say a few brief words to follow on from the 3 very powerful speeches that have already been given, to say that obviously in this 50th anniversary of Vietnamese settlement in Australia, every event is a little bit bittersweet because we are acknowledging the difficult events that happened in 1975 and what led up to that, but we're also celebrating the remarkable 50 years that has happened since. And if anything, the remarkable 50 years for Australia, and we are so lucky to have had you settle in Australia and do everything that you've done here since. Today obviously is a day where there is a bittersweet feeling, but where, if anything, there's probably a bit more of an emphasis on acknowledging the sacrifices that were made. Seeing people here in uniform brings to mind the fact that many of you, the veterans, would have fought for years in a particularly brutal and difficult war, and I think I want to acknowledge how difficult it must be for you on events like this to remember back to all that you went through and to your friends and comrades who aren't here. I also want to acknowledge that there were a number of people who suffered after the war before they even got to Australia, and that is a very difficult part of the story as well for many people. And then of course all the extremely difficult journeys to get here. The second thing I wanted to flag was that I also think it's important to remember what it was that you were fighting for, what our 2 countries were fighting for, and those incredibly important values of democracy and of freedom, of the rights of the individual, remain central to what we all believe to this day. And I think it's important to, in acknowledging the sacrifice, also to remember that what you were fighting for was so important and remains important. And I think that's something which is very important on days like this. And finally, I did want to say that when we remember back to 1975, I think it also is a time to reflect on all that's happened since. And for the veterans, you've in many cases lived here for that entire period or almost all of it. And I did want to say that there is that positive celebratory side to today, to celebrate all that you've achieved in Australia. And you've brought your values to Australia, you've brought your hard work and your commitment, and we're all the luckier for it. So thank you so much again for the privilege to be here today. It's an event which celebrates universal important themes and values, but it's also an event which touches on my own local community in a very powerful way, and I feel very privileged to commemorate today with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Molino. And we would like you to stay on the stage with Honorable Natalie Solomon for the upcoming segment. Và kính thưa quý vị, trước khi Nghiêm Lệ giới thiệu người phát biểu kế tiếp, thì chúng tôi xin được đọc tên danh sách của nhóm thứ nhất, những quý bác, quý chú, cụ quân nhân. Và xin các bác, các chú đứng sắp hàng ở cái hàng lều này cho phần kế tiếp. Và con xin được đọc tên trước tiên là ông Đặng Văn Đạt, thứ nhì ông Nguyễn Thế Nghiệp, 3 ông Nguyễn Tân Hải, 4 ông Phạm Ngọc Tuyền, 5 ông Nguyễn Văn Dũng, 6 ông Nguyễn Văn Long, 7 ông Thái Văn A, 8 ông Nguyễn Thanh Ngọc, 9 ông Thân Văn Khoản, 10 ông Nguyễn Bình, 12, 11 ông Nguyễn Văn Nhiên. Và chúng con xin các bác hãy đứng vào hàng này trước khi con mời một người kế tiếp lên phát biểu. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great honor to introduce a distinguished guest who has joined us here today, Miss Sarah Connolly, Member of Parliament, State Member for Laverton. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to the stage, Miss Sarah Connolly.
Thank you. Well, xin chào, everyone. It's an absolute honour and privilege. It's an absolute honour and privilege to be able to join you here this afternoon in such amazing, amazing Melbourne weather. The rain is a blessing, peace and prosperity. It is very good luck. So today, I think, is a very special day for all of us. I too will join in acknowledging the traditional owners on the land in which we're having this event, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and any that may be here with us today. To the BCA, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do in our community. You not only make me as a local member here in Sunshine feel so welcome and such a part of your family and the Vietnamese family here in Sunshine in Brimbank, but for the support and the tremendous amount of love and commitment that you provide on a daily basis to our Vietnamese community and broader community here. Thank you. To our Vietnam vets and the other veterans that are here today, this is such a special, poignant moment for you. Daniel Molino has talked so eloquently and frankly about the horrors of war and some of the things that you've gone through. And in my family, it is something that is particularly close to home. Both my uncles are Vietnam vets, and each and every single year they turn up and they march and they recognise the tremendous, tremendous sacrifice and loss of life that happened in that war. My father was called up but not conscripted. At the time he was called up and he was in the reserves ready to go. Now for my grandmother and for the family members of our veterans, It's such a scary, tragic time to be a parent. And I know my grandmother once telling me that having 2 sons in Vietnam, a land that she had never gone to, she had never visited, was the scariest time in her life. And I remember as a child growing up and being at Grandma's house as she was looking after us, she had 2 souvenirs that her sons had brought back from her. And I'd never seen these souvenirs before. I see them on a daily basis here with my Vietnamese community. She had a very special fan, and I remember as a child we would play with the fan and running around with it, and we would ask her stories about where it came from. We hadn't seen fans like that before. And she also had a very special dress that resembles many of the very beautiful traditional gowns that I see on a daily basis just here being a local member. And every time I sort of look out into my Vietnamese community and I see these 2 things, I'm often reminded of her and that childhood memory of the first time and seeing these things from Vietnam and understanding how they arrived in our home, brought back by her 2 sons, now Vietnam veterans. They don't talk about what happened over there. They don't talk about it very easily. So I do want to say to all of our veterans who are here today, and I know there's many of you, thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for the tremendous contribution that you have made to our country. You are grandfathers, fathers, uncles, brothers, and everything else. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here with us. Now we would like you to stay on the stage for the next segment. Ladies and gentlemen, today we come together in a spirit of gratitude and respect to honor and recognize the contribution of the Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces veterans with the support of the Victoria Department of Veteran Affairs. As part of today's proceeding, we are privileged to have several special presentations. First, a presentation of letters of appreciation from the Honorable Natalie Solomon, Member of Parliament, Minister for Veterans, followed by a presentation of commemorative plaques from the Honorable Dr. Daniel Molino, Member of Parliament, Federal Member for Fraser, Minister for Financial Services and Assistant Treasurer, and finally, a presentation of gifts from Miss Sarah Connolly, Member of Parliament. Now we would like to welcome to the stage the first group of the veteran, Mr. Đặng Văn Đạt. Mr. Nguyễn Chính, Hoàng Chính Đan. Mr. Nguyễn Thế Nghiệp. Con xin các bác cứ đứng thành một hàng và chúng ta sẽ chụp hình với quý vị VIP sau này. Mr. Nguyễn Thế Nghiệp. Mr. Nguyễn Tân Hải. quyền. Mr. Phạm Ngọc Thiền. Dạ con xin các bác, sau khi nhận quà các bác vào đứng hàng và chúng ta sẽ chụp một tấm hình chung cuối cùng. Mr. Nguyễn Văn Dũng. Mr. Nguyễn Văn Long. Mr. Nguyễn Thanh Ngọc. Mr. Thân Văn Khoản. Mr. Nguyễn Bình. Mr. Nguyễn Văn Nhiên. Kính thưa quý vị, đây là nhóm 1 các bác các chú cựu quân nhân đã được nhận những phần thưởng và phần bằng khen, và chúng tôi xin quý vị chụp chung một tấm hình với quý vị quan khách. Và Kim Lê cũng xin thông báo là kính thưa các chú các bác, khi các chú các bác lên thì chúng ta nhận những phần thưởng và chúng ta đứng và sẽ chụp chung một tấm hình cuối cùng để mình có thể tiết kiệm được thời gian. Xin cảm ơn. Thank you very much. Could you please put a big round of applause for all the veterans and the VIP? Con xin mời các bác đi xuống sân khấu.
Xin chú ý cho những cựu quân nhân á, bởi vì bà Natalie á, bà ấy sẽ rời vào lúc 12 giờ 30, thành ra chúng ta không có thể có giờ để mà chụp với lại từng người một, thành ra nên làm sao cho lẹ để mà có thể coi như là đúng giờ bà Natalie có thể phát cho hết tất cả mọi người. Và xin với lại mấy người mà chụp hình á, không có chụp hình từng cá nhân một ha. Dạ, cảm ơn.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great honor that we introduce the distinguished guest attending today's celebration. Please extend a warm welcome to Senator Paul Scar, Shadow Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs, Senator for Queensland.
Thank you very much. And I am from Queensland, but I promise I didn't bring the rain with me. It's a great honour to be here. Could I first acknowledge the traditional owners and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And in doing so, can I specifically acknowledge the 250 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who actually fought in Vietnam with the Australian Armed Forces. I'd also like to acknowledge Du Nguyen. Thank you so much for your lovely invitation to attend today's ceremony. I wouldn't be anywhere else in Australia than here. And even though it's raining, as the Minister said, it reminds me that our Australian Vietnamese community is always here for Australia in the sunshine and the rain. So it's so good to be with you. I acknowledge all the other dignitaries who are here today. I acknowledge the veterans of the Republic of Vietnam. I also acknowledge their families. I acknowledge the veterans of the Australian Armed Forces. And in particular, I would like to acknowledge Robin, who's been acknowledged, but also my dear friend, Lieutenant Colonel retired Bert Hobie. And I'll be saying something about Bert in a moment, but it's great to see you here, Bert. So this is a very, very important day. And we remember the courage and the sacrifice of the veterans of Republic of Vietnam. We remember their courage and sacrifice in 1972 when they stood up against the Easter invasion from the north and repelled that invasion. We remember their courage and sacrifice in the lead up to the fall of Saigon when so many people had abandoned the Republic of Vietnam, and against overwhelming odds, against all of the communist world, they fought with great bravery and courage. And we remember the re-education camps and the forced labour camps that the veterans were forced to endure. And we give thanks that so many of the veterans managed to find their way to safety and freedom here in Australia. And I would like to acknowledge one of my boyhood heroes, the Honourable Malcolm Fraser MP, former Prime Minister of Australia, for his vision in terms of welcoming our wonderful Vietnamese community. And we give thanks for our Vietnamese community in Australia for everything that you've contributed over the last 50 years. Every single event I attend with our Vietnamese Australian community, I hear the gratitude that is expressed to Australia and the opportunity it has given so many people from Vietnam. And it was indeed at an event like this, commemorating the fall of Saigon a few years ago, that I was approached by members of the Vietnamese Australian community and asked to advocate on behalf of those former national servicemen from Australia who did not qualify for the Republic of Vietnam campaign medal because they didn't serve the full 181 days in Vietnam. And it was members of the Vietnamese Australian community who approached me to advocate for those Australian ex-national servicemen. And you'll hear more about that from Lieutenant Colonel retired Bert Hobie. So in conclusion, I just want to say thank you to our Vietnamese Australian community. Thank you to the retired servicemen. Thank you for your courage, for your bravery, and everything you contribute to our beautiful country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Paul Scar. Và kính thưa các bác, cựu quân nhân, trước khi con mời người kế tiếp phát biểu thì con xin được đọc qua danh sách của nhóm thiếu nhi. Con xin các bác hãy đứng sẵn ở 4 cái lều ở đây. Ông Đỗ Văn Thắng, ông Trương Văn Công, ông Huỳnh Văn Tân, ông Dương Ngọc Lợi, ông Nguyễn Hữu Thiện, ông Trần Bá Nguyệt, ông Phạm Thanh, ông Nguyễn Bé, ông Lý Bá Phù. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is our great honor to introduce a distinguished guest who has joined us here today. Lieutenant Colonel retired Brett Hervey, campaign leader for Award of the Republic of Vietnam, campaign medal for Australian services men and women who served in Vietnam for less than 181 days. Let us extend a warm round of applause to Lieutenant Colonel Brett Hervey as he comes to the stage.
Senator Scarr, members of Parliament, ministers, senators, mayors, national and state presidents, veterans and members of the Vietnamese community of Australia, ladies and gentlemen. I've been asked to speak briefly about the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal, RVCM, which was established in 1964. In terms of the Allied personnel, it was established for those who served at least 6 months or were killed and wounded in the Vietnam War. From 1962 to 1973, Australia contributed 60,000 personnel to the Allied forces during that war, including over 19,000 conscripted national servicemen. Most served for about 1 year and received the RVCM. However, some 2,500 conscripts did not receive the RVCM, as Senator Paul mentioned, because they returned to Australia for discharge at the end of their conscripted term and before they had served their 6 months in Vietnam. All, however, did their duty honourably. They fought just as bravely as their comrades who did receive the medal. This is of deep concern to national servicemen and regular veterans, and also the Australian community. They endured the same harrowing combat conditions as their comrades who served longer in Vietnam, and the Vietnamese people themselves, including especially the Vietnam Armed Forces. That is simply not right. They were under no obligation to serve any longer, and they at least, however, received all Australian medals for which they were eligible. These conscripts were ordinary 20-year-old Australians, selected by ballot from all walks of life. They put their lives on hold to do their duty for the Vietnamese people. 200 of them died, and 1,200 were wounded in action. Conscription had interrupted their civilian lives. Naturally, they wanted to return to their careers, family and other commitments as soon as their obligatory term of service ended. Led by Mr. Richard Barry and supported by the National Service Association of Australia, they have campaigned, and I've supported them, to be recognised with the RVCM after serving at least 60 days in Vietnam. Your previous national presidents, Mr. Bon Nguyen and Cong Ly, wrote to ministers that the former South Vietnamese government would have wanted these men to be given the medal. At last, in 2021, the then Minister for Veterans Affairs and Defence Personnel and his opposition shadow both agreed that this lack of recognition was inequitable and unfair. They agreed to help them receive the medal. So that was a great relief. They expected to finally receive the respect and recognition they deserved. However, the election in 2022 saw a change in government and a new minister. After long consideration, this minister declined to make a decision because he thought it would be unlawful for him to change the criteria, quote unquote, as South Vietnam no longer exists, and that in any case there are Australian medals for the Vietnam War. Instead of showing respect and honouring these veterans, their minister continues to disrespect and humbug them in this way. There is no need to change the criteria. We just need a decision from our own authorities to determine eligibility for the RVCM. This power was delegated from the Republic, and it's been used in the past to make interpretations or exceptions for this and other awards from a government that no longer exists. I'm wearing one of the exceptions right here now. Can you imagine how they must feel after the assurances they had received before the change of government? You've heard what Senator Paul rightly said about this episode. He called it shameful, just shameful. And some of you of the Vietnamese community were present in the Senate gallery when he said those words. Thanks, Paul. Today he expanded a little on that. Like numerous other supporters, he clearly understands the importance of a Vietnamese recognition. The RSL of Australia, New South Wales branch, has now also come out in strong support, urging the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition to work, and I quote, in a spirit of bipartisanship to find a pathway forward and finally right this wrong. Richard and his comrades take much comfort from your community's understanding and support. They hope that wherever possible you will continue to strongly express that support to your federal members of parliament, government and opposition, the RSM in each of your states, the media and any naysayers until the right thing is done. For the politicians present here, your voices also need to be heard loud and clear. And I encourage you to raise your concerns directly with your parties, your party leaders and ministers. No matter what the outcome, your backing will always be remembered with deep gratitude. They know they did not serve in vain. In closing, I pay my deep respects to all our fallen soldiers, Vietnamese, Australian and other allies, and to those left behind to suffer still, lest we forget.
Thank you very much for being with us today, sir. Now we would like to invite the Honorable Natalie Suleiman, Member of Parliament, Minister for Veterans, to the stage. Và bây giờ con xin được đọc tên các bác cựu quân nhân của group thứ nhì. Xin mời ông Đỗ Văn Thắng. Ông Trương Văn Công. Ông Huỳnh Văn Tên. Ông Nguyễn Hữu Thiện. Ông Trần Bá Nguyệt. Phạm Thành. Ông Nguyễn Bé. Ông Lý Bá Phù. Thank you very much. A presentation of letter of appreciation from Minister Natalie Solomon. A presentation plaque from Senator Paul Scott. And a presentation gift from Lieutenant Colonel retired Bert Holby have been given to the veteran. Thank you so much. Now we will take a photo together as a lovely and beautiful memory for the veteran and the distinguished guest. Thank you very much. And could you please give a big round of applause for all the veterans and the distinguished guests. Thank you. Kính thưa quý vị, trước tiên chúng tôi xin được đọc danh sách nhóm thứ 3 của các vị cựu quân nhân để các bác các chú chuẩn bị. Group thứ 3: ông Phan Chí Hảo, ông Châu Đình Lợi, ông Nguyễn Văn Hùng, ông Nguyễn Xuân Nghĩa, ông Trương Quốc Vũ, ông Hồ Văn Thanh Vũ, ông Bùi Quang Vinh, ông Lê Văn Giai, ông Nguyễn Thịnh, ông Nguyễn Anh Tuấn, ông Khưu Văn Nghĩa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great honor that we introduce a distinguished guest attending today's ceremony. Please extend a warm welcome to the Honorable Jan Hume, Senator for Victoria.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for that very warm welcome. It's an extraordinary honour to be here with you all today and to be alongside so many of my distinguished fellow colleagues. Also, the incredible service of the veterans of the Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces. I want to acknowledge and extend my extraordinary respect to them, to their families also, who stand beside them today. Your service and your sacrifice deserves the respect of all Australians. You fought with courage, you fought with the values of freedom and dignity and democracy, values that unite our two nations and that remain the foundation of Australia's way of life. It's a place that, it's It's with an extraordinary journey that the Vietnamese community have had since arriving in Australia on our shores nearly half a century ago. From those early days of uncertainty and the rebuilding, the Australian Vietnamese community has become one of the most vibrant and respected in our country. You've made such an extraordinary and outstanding contribution across every field, from business to academia, to research and education, to the professions, and also to the public service. It's not just about today recognising the contribution of the Vietnam Armed Forces, but also recognising 50 years of community settlement and resettlement in Australia. The Vietnamese Australian community has become such a success story in our great multicultural nation throughout every country, but especially here in Melbourne. The community's impact is everywhere. I want to particularly acknowledge the important work of a Liberal Prime Minister, as Paul Scar mentioned, my colleague Paul Scar mentioned, Malcolm Fraser. The settlement of the Vietnamese community in Australia is part of Liberal folklore. It was a moment where we extended the hand of friendship and said that if you have fought against a communist dictatorship, if you fought against an authoritarian regime, if you value freedom, if you value democracy, well, you are welcome here. It's been such an important part of the legacy of Australia, and I thank and acknowledge former Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser for extending that hand of friendship, a hand that extends and continues today. Today's exhibition marks that 50 years of Vietnamese resettlement. It offers Australians a chance to reflect on that incredible journey, the history, the resilience, the enduring determination that define the Vietnamese community here in Australia today. So on behalf of all of Australia, on behalf of my colleagues, on behalf of the Liberal Party of Victoria, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Vietnamese community here, and particularly the Victorian chapter. Thank you particularly to Dui Nguyen for organising today, for your leadership and commitment to preserving the history and strengthening the understanding across our generations and cultures. Your story is one of courage, it is one of character, it is one of determination, of community and of contribution. It stands as a powerful reminder of what can be achieved in a nation that believes in opportunity for all. So I thank you very much for the honour of being with you here today.
Dạ, kính thưa các bác, trước khi con mời người kế tiếp phát biểu thì con xin được đọc danh sách của các bác quả phụ của các bác cựu quân nhân Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Bà quả phụ của ông Trần Văn Quảng, bà quả phụ của ông Hoàng Công Duyên, bà Lê Thị Cẩm Vân, bà quả phụ của ông Nguyễn Văn Đô, bà quả phụ của ông Tôn Thất Đàm, bà quả phụ của ông Võ Doãn Phúc, bà quả phụ của ông Bùi Quốc Sủng, bà quả phụ của ông Lê Văn Danh, bà quả phụ của ông Vũ Đình Phụng, bà quả phụ của ông Nguyễn Vũ Toàn, bà Nguyễn Thị Hồng Cúc, bà quả phụ của ông Ngô Văn Chương, bà Huỳnh Thị Toàn. Con xin các bác hãy đi qua lều bên đây. Sau khi các bác cựu quân nhân Group 3 nhận lên sân khấu thì sẽ đến phần của các bác. Con xin cảm ơn thật nhiều. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce Mr. Trung Lưu, Member of Parliament, Member for Western Metropolitan Region, Secretary of the Parliamentary Liberal Party, Shadow Assistant Minister for Police, Correction and Crime Prevention. Please join me in giving a heartfelt welcome to Mr. Trung Lưu.
Dạ, Châu Trung xin thưa quý vị, quý khách và mấy bác và anh chị. Và chào mưa hôm nay nhiều người phát biểu là sức phép hôm nay tôi nói gì ngắn gọn và nói tiếng Anh, phát biểu tiếng Anh. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Trung Lưu, thank you so much for being here. It's a long list of VIP for being here for very special days. I know it's been raining, but before I do, not just having a VIP, the President wants to say it. A lot of member of parliaments here, from senators, state members, federal members, a lot of councillors here as well. and a lot of dignitaries here, and we see the significance of the Vietnamese community contribute, and it's pouring rain. We're all here in support of the Vietnamese community. Just a quick shout out. You see the stage of the city here at the moment. I think with all the parliamentarians here, all the dignitaries here, I think there's something needs to be contribution funds to upgrade the facilities in the future. So I'll quickly do that before I continue. But I do want to acknowledge that our senators, our support staff, Senator Hume, Dan Lee's, Susan, the Minister for our Veteran Affairs for her contribution. Daniel, and always contribute for helping the Vietnamese community. Sarah is calling our member for Sunshine. Our mayor from Yarra's come here as well, so thank you so much, Steve, for copying along all our feedback there. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're here on the spirit, honouring all the veterans of the courage, sacrifice for freedom. This is why we're here today, and that's our opportunity here in Australia. Recognise their service and contribution of their done, but also recognise our Australian veterans as well, their contributions for their sacrifice, and those who have lost their life in Vietnam. But recognising the veterans is important, but also it shows us their spirit has brought to Australia. The spirit of the Vietnamese community, this hard-working, dedication, courage, as you see what it has been brought from their family, their next generation contribution to Australia now. And as been from that, it's recognised the 50 years of settlements, the success of the Vietnamese community, because of that Vietnamese spirits, Vietnamese veteran spirits of determination, courage, search for freedom, and hard work. And no matter where you come from, where you belong, what you have gone through, dedication, hard work will be page of success. And we see that throughout various stages of the Vietnamese community, through art, business, politics. There's leaders of success through the various stories. So I'll keep it nice and short because it's draining. And so in recognition of the spirits of the Vietnamese veterans, thank you so much for being here, and it's been an honour to conduct their services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trung Lưu. Và bây giờ thì con xin mời lên sân khấu những bác cựu quân nhân sau đây và sẽ được trao tặng the letter of appreciation by the Honourable Natalie Solomon, Member of Parliament and Minister for Veterans, and the commemorative plaque being given by the Honourable Jen Hu, Senator for Victoria, and a gift of appreciation from Mr. Trung Lưu, a member of the Western Metropolitan Region. Và bây giờ con xin được đọc tên các bác trong group 3. Ông Phan Chí Hảo, ông Châu Đình Lệ, ông Nguyễn Văn Hùng, ông Nguyễn Xuân Nghĩa, ông Trương Quốc Vũ, ông Hồ Văn Thanh Vũ, ông Bùi Quang Vinh, ông Lê Văn Giai, ông Nguyễn Thịnh, ông Nguyễn Anh Tuấn và ông Khưu Văn Nghĩa. Thank you very much. Now we will have a group photo for the veteran and the distinguished guests. Thank you very much. Và sau đây thì con xin được mời các bác quả phụ của các bác cựu chiến binh. Today we are privileged to have the participation of our distinguished guests. Presenting the letter of appreciation, the Honorable Natalie Solomon, Member of Parliament, Minister of Veterans. Presenting the commemorative flag, Councillor Stephen Jolly, Mayor of Yarra City Council. And presenting the gift, Councillor Thuy Đặng, Mayor of Brimbank City Council. Sau đây con xin được đọc tên của các bác quả phụ. Bà quả phụ của ông Trần Văn Quảng, bà quả phụ của ông Hoàng Công Duyên, bà Lê Thị Cẩm Vân,
Yeah, let me go. Yes, sir. But I'm now. Yeah, I'm just getting into it.
bà quả phụ của ông Tôn Thất Đàm, bà quả phụ của ông Võ Doãn Phúc, bà quả phụ của ông Bùi Quốc Dũng, bà quả phụ của ông Lê Văn Danh, bà quả phụ của ông Vũ Đình Phụng, bà quả phụ của ông Nguyễn Vũ Toàn và Nguyễn Thụy Hồng Cúc, bà quả phụ của ông Ngô Văn Chương và Huỳnh Thị Toàn, và con xin cảm ơn các bác đã bỏ thời gian đến đây. Và bây giờ thì con xin các bác chúng ta quay mặt ra phía trước sân khấu để cùng chụp chung một tấm hình với quý vị quan khách. cho các vị quả phụ của các vị cựu quân nhân Việt Nam, quân lực Việt Nam Cộng Hòa và các vị khách quý. Xin cảm ơn quý vị thật nhiều.
I just wanted to take the opportunity, as I need to leave to another event, to again thank the President of VCA and all the community leaders today that have braved the weather, and again to our veterans and their widows. And it was such a special moment to acknowledge the widows as well of their partners' service and sacrifice. So thank you to the President. As the local member for the Sunshine North, I'm really proud again, and as the member for St Albans, all that the Vietnamese community has contributed in our community. I wish you very best, and the rain hasn't stopped, so I think we're going to be, receiving a lot of prosperity, good luck, good fortune over the next couple of weeks and in the next 12 months, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much for your support. When I was a kid, I learned, something like rain, oh, why, I could not remember the whole day. Thank you for your coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to welcome to the stage Ms. Thúy Đặng, the first Vietnamese refugee to serve as mayor of Greenbank City Council. Ms. Thúy Đặng journey and leadership are a true inspiration reflecting resilience, dedication, and the strength of the Vietnamese Australian community. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause to Ms. Thúy Đặng.
Thank you, Mayor. So good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, on behalf of Greenbank City Council, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people as the traditional custodian of this land and pay respect to their elders past, present and future. I could also like to acknowledge Honorable Daniel Merino, Honorable Natalie Suleiman, the Senator Paul Starr, Jane Hu, Sarah Connolly, Mr. Trung Lu, the Mayor of City of Yara, Councillor Phúc Lâm, my fellow Councillor Kim Truong, ông Đặng Văn Đạt, ông Nguyễn Văn Duy, all the community leaders, cô Cẩm Nguyễn, cô Thanh Khâm, and the most important, our honored veterans. Thank you for inviting me here today, and I'm honored to be attending the opening of the special exhibition. I would like to say a few words in Vietnamese first. Kính thưa quý viên trưởng, kính thưa quý cựu quân nhân, quý quả phụ, tôi rất cảm ơn và vinh dự được tham dự buổi khai mạc về triển lãm, một sự kiện nhằm tôn vinh lịch sử của Việt Nam, giới thiệu về nền Cộng hòa Việt Nam Cộng Hòa từ năm 1955 cho đến một năm 1975, đồng thời cũng là kỷ niệm 50 năm của cộng đồng người Việt định cư tại Úc Châu của chúng ta. Hôm nay chúng ta đến không chỉ là để xem cuộc triển lãm về lịch sử, về lòng can đảm và sự kiên cường, mà còn để tri ân những người lính anh dũng của Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Ngày hôm nay không chỉ là ở trong quân phục hoặc là hình ảnh hoặc là những kỷ vật, mà đây là những cái chứng minh sống động nhất cho những cái sự hy sinh, sức mạnh và tinh thần bất khuất của những vị anh hùng đã phục vụ với tất cả danh dự của chúng ta, của mình. Đến với các quý vị cựu quân nhân, di sản và khí hùng của quý vị luôn tồn tại trong gia đình, trong cộng đồng và trong tinh thần của những người chính nghĩa vì tự do. Năm nay cũng đánh dấu 50 năm của người Việt định cư tại Úc. Chúng ta cũng tôn vinh hành trình của những người Việt tị nạn. Cộng đồng của người Việt tị nạn đã làm phong phú thêm cho xã hội của chúng ta qua văn hóa, trí tuệ và sự cố gắng không ngừng nghỉ đóng góp. Đặc biệt là ở tại Brisbane có hơn 33.000 người Việt, đông nhất ở St. Albans, Kelly và Sunshine. Và cuộc triển lãm hôm nay dưới mưa tầm tã như thế này, nhưng mà nhắc nhở cho chúng ta cái sự mạnh mẽ và sự tự do không miễn phí. Và hy vọng rằng đây là một cái sự kết nối, một cái cầu nối giữa quý niên trưởng và tuổi trẻ của Việt Nam của chúng ta, để mà nhớ lại những cái sự hy sinh không bao giờ bị lãng quên và tiếp tục truyền cảm hứng cho tuổi trẻ sau này. Thay mặt Hội đồng thành phố Brisbane, tôi xin gửi lời trân trọng và sâu sắc và lòng biết ơn đối với quý cựu quân nhân, và cảm ơn cộng đồng đã tổ chức cái buổi lễ ngày hôm nay. Và Thúy cũng xin có một vài lời bằng tiếng Anh để cho những chính khách của người Úc hiểu được. So today we gather not just looking at the old photos, uniform or souvenirs. It's about recognition, about the bravery, the strength and sacrifice of the men and women who served in the Republic of Vietnam Armed Forces. Their stories are part of our shared history. Story of courage, hardship and deep commitment to freedom. So to our veterans, your legacy lives on in your family, in our communities, and in the heart of those who understand what it means to fight for peace. This year is also marked 50 years since Vietnamese people began settling in Australia. We also honor the journey of rebuilding lives. The Vietnamese community has enriched our society with their culture, their wisdom, and their unwavering commitment to our community. Especially in Brisbane, we have 33,000 Vietnamese heritage, and in Kelly, Sunshine, and St. Albans. So this exhibition today reminds us, and especially for our young generations, that freedom is never free, and that real courage often show up in quiet and everyday acts. So let it be a bridge between past and the present, so their sacrifice are never forgotten and their story continue to inspire. So on behalf of Brisbane City Council, I offer my deepest respect and heartfelt thanks to all who make this event happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Frida. And we would like to acknowledge the presence of Councillor George Burke, Councillor of City of Brisbane. Thank you for being here with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to invite Councillor Stephen Jolly, Mayor of Yarra City Council. We are deeply honored to have you join us today for this very special occasion. So please join me in extending a warm and respectful welcome to Councillor Stephen Jolly, Mayor of Yarra City Council.
On behalf of the people of North Richmond, the historic home of Vietnamese people in Melbourne, on behalf of all of the people of Yarra, Deputy Mayor Sarah Mackenzie, Councillor Mecca Ho, who is now the Councillor for North Richmond, a Vietnamese Australian who came to this country with his mother via a refugee camp with nothing but the clothes on his back. We extend our solidarity to all those who died, who were injured, who were maimed, and all those who were exiled from their country 50 years ago. Your campaign, your struggle, your presence in Australia is not one of defeat, but it is one of victory. You have added so much to Australia. cuisine, culture, business, politics. 2 of our councillors, 2 of our mayors in Yarra have been Vietnamese Australians. The most politically active people in the city of Yarra in the northern suburbs of Melbourne are Vietnamese Australians. And I am so proud to be working under the leadership of Councillor Ho, the councillor for North Richmond, when he has told us, me, the Deputy Mayor, all the council and the entire community, that the Vietnamese people in North Richmond need help. And we have listened. After a long, long time where the council did not listen to Vietnamese Australians in North Richmond, we are listening now. And you have told us, too many drugs, too much crime, too much violence, too many problems for the Vietnamese businesses on Victoria Street. We don't want excuses, we want action. And what we have done in the last few months is pump $1 million into North Richmond to make it safer, to make it better, to make it cleaner, to boost not just government investment, but private investment. So we have more homes, more businesses, and the historic home of the Vietnamese here in Melbourne will be the best place in the city of Yarra. So thank you for all you've done to this country. Thank you for all you've done to Yarra. Congratulations on your 50 years of success in the city of Yarra, and hopefully we see thousands of years more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for a very powerful speech, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now our honor to invite to the stage Mrs. Huỳnh Bích Cẩm, whose service has been recognized with the Medal of the Order of Australia, reflecting her significant contributions to supporting and empowering Vietnamese Australians through her tirelessly advocacy and service. This afternoon, she will be speaking on behalf of our sponsors. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mrs. Huỳnh Bích Cẩm.
First of all, I would like to say that my Australian name is Mrs. Bích Cẩm Nguyen. Huỳnh Bích Cẩm is my maiden name, and it is used only in Vietnamese with a Vietnamese community. But otherwise, on all my papers, my name is Bích Cẩm Nguyen, including the OAM. This year, we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Republic of Vietnam. At that time, I was a teenager. I had just finished my French baccalaureate and told my parents that I wanted to continue my studies in England, not in France. And my parents supported my idea, my decision. And so I went to England to boarding school for a year to translate my knowledge from French to English, and then I went on to study at Cambridge University. This year was a very important year for myself, not only for myself, but I think that after 1975, when I came here to Australia, I realized that it was a great advantage for me to have studied in England instead of France or other countries. And that was the reason why I started the Australian Vietnamese Women's Association in 1983 to help the disadvantaged members of the Vietnamese community. And after 43 years, the organization is now a strong organization with 427 staff and a very wide range of services for all ages and genders. So this is this year is an anniversary. It's an anniversary, not only a political anniversary, but in my life, it was also an important anniversary. For this 50th anniversary of the Vietnamese community in Australia, I would like to congratulate VCAV for organizing the exhibition, and not only that, but quite a number of events during the year. And I hope that a lot of not only Vietnamese but Australians of diverse background would take the time to come and see the exhibition. So that is my message today. It's the weather has been not very favorable, but I hope that for the rest of the week we will have better weather and that there will be a lot of visitors to the exhibition. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Viết Cẩm Nguyen. And now, I would like to introduce to the stage lawyer Nguyễn Tân Hải, OAM, head of the exhibition team. Mr. Nguyễn Tân Hải will now guide all of our speakers and distinguished guests, including our politicians, to the exhibition hall, where we can continue to celebrate and reflect on the achievements and contributions being honored today.
Oh, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think probably the weather is not favorable to us today, but we are still strong, and the spirit of the Republic of Vietnam still in us. And it took us months trying to organize an exhibition. And today, we would like to invite all of you, our guests, to come to our exhibition and to see the development of the First and the Second Republic of Vietnam. And you will see the images of the life in Vietnam after the war ended. And you will see the contribution of our community into Australia after 50 years. We're very proud of living in Australia. Our comrades in arms opened their arms to receive us. And today, I think probably after you see the exhibition, the memory will come back. The memory of what? The memory of our life, our beloved country. And please, we start with our journey from the First, the Second Republic of Vietnam, and after the war ended, and our contribution. So ladies and gentlemen, we invite all of you to come to the exhibition room now.
We invited only, the speaker first, because the hall is very small, and I speak Vietnamese to my, veteran and widow. Xin anh có thể hướng dẫn xin quý vị có thể ngồi lại để mà mình coi như là ăn bánh với lại uống nước. Xong rồi một chút xíu nữa thì lần lượt đó là sẽ đi vô để mà cái coi triển lãm, bởi vì thực sự là cái phòng triển lãm nó cũng rất nhỏ, mình tiếp những cái người quan khách Úc với lại một số những quan khách thôi. Thì chừng hai anh có thể dẫn không thì đây bây giờ là để trao lại cho Thụy Chim cái phần văn nghệ.
We take a seat and then we have a very special song for the army today. Quý vị ơi, quý vị ngồi lại để nghe một cái bài hát rất là đặc biệt, hành khúc Hải Lục Không Quân. Xin quý vị hãy ngồi lại, sau bài hát này quý vị có thể được đi vào trong kia. Xin mời tất cả các đoàn lên trên đây ạ. Em xin mời tất cả các đoàn lên.
Xin thông báo quý đồng bào mình, nếu ai mà cảm thấy đói bụng và khát nước thì bên gian hàng tổ chức của cộng đồng có bán bò kho, nước mía, bia, rượu và có những món ăn do cộng đồng chiêu đãi mời, và những ai mà muốn ăn bánh thì bên cái liều bên đây có bánh có nước, quý đồng bào mình tự sử dụng ha.
Ăn quả để cho em thử ăn của cái bánh sóc này. Lớn này mà không phải cho cái nhạc cái khô bát cái này nữa, khô bát cho nên không nghe được.
Đây là một bài hát rất là đặc biệt của trong quân chủng Hải Lục Không Quân Hàn Quốc. Xin quý vị cùng ngồi để lắng nghe.
Anh cho em cái nhạc cái khô bát xuống.
Một cái
lớn hơn nữa không nghe mọi người đi cô bác.
Quý anh nào mà thuộc bài này hát theo nhá. Hàn Quốc Hải Lục Không Quân.
bao chiến sĩ quân ra tươi hôm nay mơ nước nào gió bay nổi hoa say ra đi không quên đi miền bắc sẽ lại quên buồn con đi sông thân tôi trên năm bao giờ mưa xanh non thái bình dương ra từ xa khơi sông vai ra giàu mênh mông sông vai thân tàu nghe âm thanh cát thiên mây dâng dâng quân ca theo chậm chậm tàu nhấp nhô mưa xa mây núi dần xa mây núi đi không quên bên bờ trời xa khơi trung dương vạn đá ngày về tổ quốc đi cao. Qua biên giới quyết chiến nhau đã chiến sĩ tôn ngang trời giờ từng đoàn người vượt qua biên giới quyết chiến nhau đi không lo gì xa rời luôn nhắc nhớ muôn bao người ơn thân yêu ra đi mỗi khi tâm thân làm chi giờ để một lòng ngồi trên lưng gió quyết chiến thắng nhớ lấy phút giây từ ly ai là đang chìm quay trên cao xa khi nhìn qua hoa những thiên cây xa đôi cánh không phải người trên mây xanh ta đi ngồi bên trên phía trời đây đó một nước ơi không quân Việt Nam lướt trên ngàn mây gió. Ôi không quân xanh tiếng muôn đời nhìn xa phi trường Việt Nam không quân dậy cánh bay dâng trời xa 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 không nhìn về khắp nơi bay chim diêu bay ngàn phương khúc về để rồi ngày nay sống qua những cây cùng nhau thiên chim lòng ta càng ngày càng xa quyết đi về đến ngày đây chiến trong dân không quên bao chi.
Tiếp tục chương trình là một bài hát Việt Nam quê hương mình nữa. Quý vị nào biết bài hát này hát chung nha.
khán thính giả xin cảm ơn rất nhiều.
Có lẽ mấy cô cậu có thể đứng lại nghe anh nói vài câu được không? Đang ngồi tốt. Kính thưa tất cả quý vị, thì thưa quý vị là có lẽ là ở trong quý vị đó thì ở cái thế hệ mà cựu quân nhân đó hay là những cái quả phụ á thì có thể là biết cái ngày 23 tháng 10 năm 1955 thì lúc đó là Thủ tướng Ngô Đình Diệm có một cái cuộc trưng cầu dân ý để cho cái người dân miền Nam được chọn giữa một cái thể chế tự Cộng Hòa và một cái thể chế quân chủ lập hiến. Thì đa số người dân miền Nam đã chọn thể chế Cộng Hòa, và ngày 26 tháng 10 năm 1955 thì thể chế Cộng Hòa Việt Nam Cộng Hòa đã bắt đầu. Và thưa quý vị, chúng ta không may là chúng ta đã phải chiến đấu với cả một cái khối cộng sản từ phía Bắc. Thành ra cái ngày 30 tháng 4 năm 1975 thì cái nền đệ nhị Cộng Hòa không còn nữa. Nhưng thưa quý vị, cái ngày hôm nay chắc là quý vị đã nhìn thấy có sự xác nhận của bà coi như bà dân biểu, bà Bộ trưởng Bộ Cựu Chiến binh, bà Nathalie Solomon, và mọi người đều rất nhiều quan cách, từ cấp tiểu bang tới cấp liên bang và tới cấp coi như là hội đồng thành phố, cũng như đặc biệt là có những cái vị mà cựu quân nhân lên để mà coi như là họ muốn vận động để họ có được những cái huy chương, cái bằng huy chương chiến dịch bội tinh Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Đó là cái huy chương do chính phủ Việt Nam Cộng Hòa coi như là trao cho những cái người mà cựu chiến binh chiến đấu ở Việt Nam. Thưa quý vị, cái điều đó nó chứng tỏ một điều là Việt Nam Cộng Hòa mặc dù đã 50 năm không còn, nhưng mà vẫn coi như là vẫn còn được công nhận như là một cái thể chế tự do dân chủ ở tại miền Nam Việt Nam. Và một cái ngày nào đó Việt Nam có được lại được tự do thì sẽ có một cái nền đệ tam Cộng Hòa. Thưa quý vị, cộng đồng người Việt tự do của chúng ta là một cái di sản lớn nhất của Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Những cái người mà mình bỏ xứ ra đi thì là mình tạo ra được những cái cộng đồng, và cộng đồng tiểu bang đó là do tất cả quý vị, không phân biệt miền Bắc hay miền Nam, không phân biệt sinh ra ở Úc hay là sinh ra ở bên Việt Nam, đều có thể chọn lựa những cái người lãnh đạo xứng đáng cho cái cộng đồng của chúng ta. Và chúng ta ở cấp liên bang thì chúng ta có cộng đồng liên bang, tức là các cái tiểu bang sẽ bầu lên một cái vị chủ tịch của cộng đồng liên bang, như là tiến sĩ Hà Cao Thắng là bây giờ là chủ tịch cộng đồng liên bang. Và thưa quý vị, là cộng đồng của chúng ta là có rất là nhiều những cái hội đoàn, có cả trăm hội đoàn, và tất cả các hội đoàn đều rất là năng nổ, và đa số đều coi như là có cái nguồn gốc từ Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Và thưa quý vị, đặc biệt đó là cái ngày hôm nay, đó là cái chứng minh rất là hùng hồn. Mặc dù trời mưa gió mưa rất là dữ, mà tất cả quý vị cũng đầy cái coi như là hai cái lèo và phải ngồi bên ngoài nữa. Thực sự ra nếu mà trời đẹp thì là có lẽ là sẽ có gấp đôi, gấp 3 lần số người tham dự. Đây là một cái điều chứng tỏ là cộng đồng của chúng ta là một cộng đồng rất là coi như là phải nói là rất là đoàn kết, rất là có cái mong muốn để có được một cái Việt Nam tự do, dân chủ và nhân quyền, và đặc biệt là một cái nền Cộng Hòa, đệ tam Cộng Hòa ở trong tương lai. Thưa quý vị, nói tóm lại là Việt Nam Cộng Hòa vẫn tồn tại ở trong, không phải ở trong lòng chúng ta thôi, và như ở trong cái sự kiện ngày hôm nay là một cái chứng tỏ rất là rõ ràng là Việt Nam Cộng Hòa chúng ta vẫn còn tồn tại, có phải không thưa các anh chị? Còn bánh rất là nhiều, mời mấy em đây chị tới dùng bánh với lại nước. Cảm ơn. Còn cái này là chắc là chị Kim.
Vâng, đây là một cái bánh của chị Mai Hương đã làm để tặng cho cộng đồng. Cái bánh có cái tên là kỷ niệm 70 năm thành lập Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Một lần nữa xin cảm ơn chị Mai Hương. Anh Hồng Anh ơi, chụp cho câu đoàn tấm hình chung với ông chủ tịch.
Nhớ lên báo nha Hồng Anh.
Anh Hồng Anh nhớ lên báo. Còn tấm hình nữa. Xin cảm ơn. Xin cảm ơn các đoàn Thánh Ly Nhã. Quý vị ơi, mình ngồi lại để mình có chương trình văn nghệ nha quý vị. Quý vị nào nói thì cứ tự nhiên là lấy bánh ăn, nhưng mà bánh ở bên phải thì nãy em thấy Nghiêm Lệ có mang nước ấm ra cho các cô chú á. Thì xin cảm ơn Nghiêm Lệ.